It's time for Making Connections, where we meet people right here in our community who make up this colorful fabric of Korean society and hear more about their stories. Now, this morning, we're joined by the co-founders of Kada Kudu, Joanna Lam and Somang Yang. During the pandemic, they decided to come together and make the most comfortable heels ever. Is that possible? But the cherry on top, virtual fittings in the comfort and safety of your own home. So we're very excited to talk to them about their journey and discuss what it's like starting a company in the midst of a global pandemic. So good morning and welcome, ladies.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning to you, Somang, too.
Morning. Lovely to be here.
Lovely to have you on the show. It is really, really good to have you on the show, especially because we're going to be talking about shoes. And I love shoes. And I love me a good heel as well. But I asked you, comfortable heels, because I love heels. But comfortable heels, it almost seems like it's impossible. But I guess we'll get to that later. You're going to tell us why it is possible. First, let's get to know you two a little bit better. May I ask both of you to maybe briefly introduce yourselves? Who'd like to start?
Totally. I can go first.
Joanna, okay.
So I'm Joanna. I'm from Singapore.
Uh-huh.
I'm the CMO of Kadakudu. And before working on Kadakudu, I was working out of LA for a brand consultancy.
Okay.
Helping various startups with their brand stories. And when this opportunity to start a company with Somang came up, I was like, if I can help other people do it, why can't I help myself? And we were also in the middle of a pandemic being locked down in LA. And so when Somang was like, life is normal-ish in Korea, you should come here, it really wasn't hard to convince me at all. I was like on a plane immediately.
Uh-huh. But have you been to Korea before, and were you into shoes? I mean, it's still a big decision. Even the appeal of a normal-ish life. I mean, I know how big that must have been during lockdown, but still, I mean, this is a big move.
Yeah, definitely. I'd been to Korea about 10 years ago when I studied abroad here.
Okay.
So I have always loved the country. It's always been really fun. But really, the project itself sounded really exciting because Somang and I have always been like heels lovers and heels wearers. And like you said, a comfortable heel feels like an oxymoron.
Yes.
And I was like, if no one else is creating it, we could, really be looking into it and really be making the most comfortable heel ever, which is what we've hopefully achieved.
All right. And now let's hear about you, Soma.
Well, I first started working as a journalist here in Korea, and then I also moved overseas. And then Joe and I met in Singapore while working at a consulting company. And that's when we really had to feel the pain of being like your average professional woman. You have to look professional all the time while working in consulting and run around to meetings. And at the end of this, yeah, exactly. And then at the end of the day, it's like, oh, come out for happy hour back pre-pandemic times, and you're just like, no, because I'm wearing heels and I feel so tired and sapped of energy. So, after doing a few other things, I sort of had an ankle surgery 3 years ago, and it was accumulation of like ligaments being worn down from a lifetime of wearing bad shoes. And that's when I really like started digging deep into foot comfort because I couldn't find anything on the market that I felt was safe for me to wear.
Or that you wanted to wear. There are comfy shoes out there, but whether you want to wear them, it's another thing. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So, there are a lot of like ergonomic shoes out there, but they kind of look like the sort of brands that your grandmother would wear, right? So you're like, no, this is not great. And, eventually the frustration like kind of got me to look into starting my own company.
Wow. But still, I mean, it's not an area that you majored in. So starting a shoe company still seems like a big stretch. I mean, how did you go about even finding out about it, about who can make it, designing a shoe?
Yeah, well, I think that an outsider's perspective is always good because insiders, they've been doing things the same way for a long time.
That's true.
And actually, majority of shoemakers are men. Even women's high heel makers, like all the famous brands that you can think about, they're men, right?
That's true, right.
They've never had to suffer in their own creations. So I thought an outsider's perspective would be fresh. And then the rest of the nuts and bolts of putting together a business kind of came together naturally. We were very lucky to get funding from the Korean government. So that enabled Joe and I to kind of have a soft landing and experiment. And there's been a lot of like facilitation from the government with like various experts and things like that. So
kind of curious, how do you get government funding for a business though? Is it because that you two were women and you're starting up a business as women, or how do you get government funding for a startup? Is that easy? Can't be easy.
Oh, it's actually Korea has one of the best startup funding systems in the world that's publicly funded. We're a part of a specific program by the Ministry of SMEs and startups
Okay.
called K Startup Grand Challenge. And that's sort of, it's an open call all over the world, any nationality, any age. You don't have to have a specific background or degree. And the government just has like a panel of external people who choose the best startups that they think would really like work well in Korea, either moving an existing product to Korea or like starting their business in Korea.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then we were selected from an open call. And this year was really, really competitive because much like Joe, everybody wanted to get out of their pandemic lockdowns and move to Korea. So yeah, it was.
Do you know
that was
what
how
the
we got started.
competition was kind of like?
I think
The-
it was like 2,000 over applicants and like 60 teams made it. And out of the 60 teams, we go through this 3-month process and then have a demo day. And at the end of that, they pick the top 30 teams.
That must have been amazing.
It was a really fun experience.
Did you think that you would make it on your first try, or was it kind of like, we don't have much to lose, let's just go for it?
Honestly, I don't know if Somang knows this, but I kind of said like, oh, let's just apply and go for it. And if we get in, I will move to Korea. And the
Oh.
reason why I said that so like loosely was because of the back of my head. I was like, there's no way we're going to get in. And then we got in, and then I made the promise to move to Korea. So I kind of had to. At
You had
that
to
point.
keep the promise. Somang, you just heard this today for the first time?
Yeah,
sorry.
but you know, the thing is, right, the way I am is I'm a super optimistic person and I was born with a lot of confidence. So I was like, oh, it doesn't matter if the competition rate is like 500 to 1. Of course we'll get in, right?
That's amazing. But I have a feeling that both of you, you used your expertise in management, consulting, branding, and then also, your personal stories of shoes and the eternal sort of search for beautiful yet comfortable heels as well. So you launched this. But why in Korea as well? I was kind of interested. Is it because of the government funding or because you were in Singapore, which is one of the best areas to also probably have a company or start a business as well? Also, life is normalish there, if not more normalish than here. Why Korea?
I think we were looking into manufacturing options, and that's when we were talking to a lot of people in the shoemaking area or
Okay.
people who were kind of interested in shoes, and everyone was like, oh, you should make shoes in Italy, you should make shoes in Spain.
Yeah, that's what you usually think.
Right? And then they were like, oh, don't make it in Asia and definitely don't make it in China because people are going to think that,
Okay.
it's not as good of a quality. And that's when we realized that when people think of handmade craftsmanship, everyone thinks of like Western Europe, and there's so much open space in the market for like a premium Asian brand to kind of rise up and, enter the global stage. And that's when we started doing a lot of research, and we realized that there was this whole neighborhood of Seongsu-dong
Yes.
where craftsmanship and like handmade goods are of really high quality, and there's so much heritage and history there that we're like, other people need to know about this, and we should be bringing this to the rest of the world. And also kind of looking at Korea and its like global branding with like K-pop, but also K-beauty and K-fashion on the rise. We just kind of felt like it was this growing global trend that we really could be a part of. So we were just kind of really excited by that mix of things and felt like Korea was the right place for us to be.
So it does feel like you almost had the global market in mind when you first even launched this company. So let's talk about the company now a bit. Kada Kudu. What exactly does it mean? I think we understand what the Kudu part means. The Kada means to go. How do you come up with the name?
Yeah, actually, Jo came up with this with her newbie Korean skills.
With my A1 Korean level. So kata obviously means to go in Korea, in Korean. And I think we were very much inspired both literally and metaphorically by the idea of like women going places. So literally in the sense of like comfortable shoes where you feel like you can really live in them, you can run in them, you can like run after the bus, you can walk all day in them. It's like
And then go
shoes-
dancing at
And then
night.
go dancing at night, exactly. It's like shoes that like take you places. But like in the metaphorical sense, we
Yeah.
really want it to be a brand that kind of enabled women to feel comfortable and grounded and to go wherever they want in their careers, in their professional life and their personal life. So it just kind of nicely came together in those two kind of facets in that name.
And it really does explain the philosophy behind your brand as well. I mean,
Exactly.
it's about, women want to be women, but we also want to go places. We want to enjoy our careers. We want to enjoy all the things that we can do. Maybe most comfortably in sneakers, and they are big right now. But, every once in a while, I want to put on heels. I want that lift. I want that look as
Yeah.
well. I'm just not a fan of the way it makes my feet feel and my legs feel and my body feel after the whole day. So yeah, I love that. I think it's a very smart name and really explains your philosophy as well. So you did this though in the middle of the pandemic, even with government funding. It must have been very scary. Did you have any idea how it would work though once you did launch it? Like when did you open your website, I guess, and when was the first sale in? What was the timing of
Well,
that?
before we started selling directly from our website, which is a Shopify store, we originally had like a small crowdfunding sort of campaign on
I see.
Indiegogo.
Okay.
And we immediately kind of knew that we had found a product market fit because, we were oversubscribed in just 3 days. So
Wow.
we reached our funding goal. And I think that just goes to show there is a lot of pent up demand, but also
Yep.
skepticism because, as you mentioned, is it possible to have comfortable heels, right? That just seems like a contradiction. So we knew that women were looking for this.
So when did you launch it? I mean, the website or kind of
in
or
November, we
November.
opened for pre-orders, and then in January we actually started selling from our website.
just 2 months ago?
Yeah.
Okay, so it has not been long at all. I did check out your website and I saw the reviews as well, and they're all kind of incredulous that, yeah, they really are comfortable and they look great as well. How did you feel when you made the first sale and when you got your first review?
I remember our first sale that
Yeah.
was to someone random, like not a friend or not an acquaintance or not a friend of a friend. It was actually to this woman called Cindy who like had found our website because she was looking for comfortable heels for her wedding. And I think like when she received the heels and like actually texted us like out of the blue being like, these shoes are so comfortable. I feel like I can really dance in my wedding in them. That like sense of satisfaction of being like, oh my gosh, we've really kind of made something important for like a special moment in someone's lives
Right.
was really exciting for me. And that kind of really felt very motivating for me to be like, let's go out and sell more shoes.
I have to say, because I also, like I said, I went into the website and I love the heels that are available right now. You have one style from what I saw on the website in several colors. There's already demand. When are you going to come out with new designs, new colors? You know, they want more variety already. Any plans for that?
I think we want to be launching out different colors for the same design for possibly different seasons. And I think we're really interested in the idea of like crowdsourcing ideas for new designs. So like what do people actually want? What do people in our community, what do women want in terms of their next heel? Is it like a loafer? Is it like a shorter heel? And then kind of rolling out designs based on a better understanding of what people actually want.
If I can add my personal sort of
Please
wish,
do.
some nice sandals, comfortable, but the heels,
Heeled sandals.
for the summer. That
Yeah.
would be really nice as well. Because sometimes sandals, they look great, but again, they're not the most comfortable with all the straps.
Right.
So if you've got the lift and the comfort and the looks, I think that would be a hit.
Yeah.
That's kind of my non-expert view. All right. I think another thing that sets your company apart is that even the reviews I saw, they were not always from Korea. You had people from overseas talking about how comfortable it is. We're all very familiar with online shopping, but shoes, I have to say, is one area that I'm not always 100% comfortable about doing because you need to put on shoes. You managed to solve that problem very smart, in a very techie kind of a way, virtual fittings. Tell us how you came up with that idea or how it works even.
Well, yeah. So one of the biggest reasons why shoe shopping is such a slog and why you mentioned there is a hesitancy about spending money online is that the only real way to tell whether something will be a good fit is to try it on, right?
Exactly.
So in the pre-pandemic times, people would hop from store to store, like trying on dozens of shoes. Or, when you're shopping online, you're like peering at the size chart and trying to do like US, EU size conversion in your
Yeah.
head, looking at reviews to see whether this shoe runs like snug
Yep.
or whether it fits loose, and you're just like, wow.
It's
this
a guessing game. It's a risk. It's a
yeah,
gamble.
so we just thought that the best way to do this is to let people get size from their phone. And so for us, all customers need to do is take one photo of each foot from their smartphone, and our software will automatically extract their measurements and then say, this is your length, this is your width, and this is your best fit size. And that's separately for the left foot and the right foot because not everybody has the
That is
same
true.
left and right foot. So then it automatically pre-fills their size for both feet, and you can just click buy and, you'll get your perfect fit shoes.
That sounds amazing. So you've never had any sort of returns. Oh, no, it doesn't fit.
No,
That's
not yet.
amazing.
Yeah.
That is really amazing. So I guess each shoe is basically custom made for that person. The left shoe and the right shoe can be slightly different in size as well, but it's made perfectly to fit the wearer.
Exactly. Yeah. I think we were really like shocked when we saw that in e-commerce, shoe returns have the highest rates. I think it's like
Yes,
more than
exactly.
30%.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And we were like, there has to be a better solution for this, especially when like a size 7 for one brand is different from a size 7 for a different brand. So it just makes the whole process so much more complicated.
I think both of you have very sort of big dreams and big plans for the company. Tell us about them. What are you planning for? I mean, obviously, it has just kind of really taken off. Your first sale in January, so really at the very beginning part of sales and the whole company. But what are your dreams for it? Soma?
Yeah, I think personally, I'll just talk to like the tech side of it. I do want to be able to gather data more intelligently and to integrate I guess, artificial intelligence to the point where we get really, really better at predicting fit and predicting, demand and sell the data side of our business to like other shoe brands or have other Seongsudong like handmade labels come onto our platform so that they can access our global user base and we can provide that fit solution.
And I think from a lifestyle and branding perspective, like my personal like shopping preference is that I really hate online shopping because I feel like there's so many options and I always feel overwhelmed and I add everything to my cart and then I delete it in like a panic attack.
Yeah.
And I just really want to create this kind of lifestyle brand where it's very curated and less is more, where you know that the brand knows your size and knows what works for you. And there's always like a tight collection of things that kind of work for every aspect and every situation in your life. We just want to kind of create that go-to reliable, staple type of brand that speaks to every woman in every stage of their lives.
It seems like you're not going to be limiting yourself to just shoes then.
I think we're going to stick with shoes for a while.
For a while.
But we would be really interested in kind of expanding beyond that as well.
We have a listener saying, 9910, saying, comfortable heels. Wow, it's fantastic. I have big feet. Make big size shoes, please. Have you ever come across a shoe or like a size that's just too big, off the charts, that you say, I'm sorry, we can't help you?
No, and I think that's a big part of our value proposition, especially in Korea. So I had a friend just visit from the US and she was like, Korean shoes like run only a very specific size. And if you go to a store, like they're like, it's 250 and below. If not, it's just too bad.
Or they charge extra. Oh, we're going to have to make it specially for you. And so that's going to cost extra. But you don't have that depending on what shoe size it is?
No, because it's
all
like
costs the same.
It's custom fit for you. So it depends on you and your pictures. And then we just make the shoe according to that.
That's amazing.
So we basically have extended sizes up to 275, which is a US size 12, a EU size 43.
I think 9910, that would cover your size, hopefully, 275. Yartika with Toller also saying, good morning. I just looked at your website, just wondering if you have other styles. I know that I asked this question before, and you said that you're also maybe thinking about crowdsourcing for even styles. But is there something in the works right now, maybe? Or is it just different? Maybe you can even talk about the colors then that you do have planned for the same shoe.
I think we're really interested in launching like a summer collection for different colors. We're playing around with a bunch of different ideas, but we're thinking of like maybe like a special like pastel collection could be cute. Like,
would it be in the same style as the one right now, or
it would
maybe
be in the same
slightly
style?
Okay.
Yeah.
And when can we expect that?
Hopefully midsummer, I was thinking.
Midsummer, about July-ish?
Yeah.
Or? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, ladies, I want to thank you very much for coming on the show and for sharing your story and also the philosophy behind your company as well. I wish you the best of luck, Joanna Lam and Somang Yang. And with Kada Kudu, thank you very much.
Thank you
you
for having us.